Welcome back to another episode of the AWAPZone Podcast, the DME edition or Drama Ministry edition, the A to Z on how to create a foundationally sound drama ministry. So, now we are moving into setting a rehearsal schedule. If you didn't see the prior video, I advise you to do so. That's on planning your performances. And make sure if you want to follow along, go ahead and pause it right here. Click the link below. Grab the downloaded version, which it'll take you right to purchase. You'll get it in 5 minutes, and then play this so that you can move forward with us and you can understand where we're at and what we've already discussed, so that if you're just jumping in and you have questions, maybe it was already answered. All right, so here we go. Chapter 7. Set a rehearsal schedule. Yes, there's going to be structure. Yes, there's going to be disciplined acts, meaning we're going to do this at this time, and we're going to do it all together so that we can be professional, right? So you set the tone for whatever it's going to be in the very beginning. If you're lackadaisical, then they're going to be that. If you're like, yo, high energy, coming in, ready to go, excited and enthusiastic about what's going on, they're going to pick up on that and emulate it. So then now you're going to have this high quality, this high energy atmosphere to be creative, to be able to have a voice and to say, I think we could do this. But you create the atmosphere that you want it to be. So, setting a well-structured rehearsal schedule is crucial for the success of your drama ministry. It helps your team prepare effectively, refine performances, and build a strong sense of cohesion. Here's a more detailed explanation of how to set a rehearsal schedule for your drama ministry. Number 1, identify key dates. Determine the performance dates and work backwards to set your rehearsal schedule. Consider the time needed for preparation, technical rehearsals, and dress rehearsals. So, for example, if you know that you are going to do your performance on February 14th, it is January 3rd. You start from the 14th and you make those, let's say on maybe, because we don't want to do a day of rehearsal because everything's going to need to be getting set up. So that night before rehearsal is going to be very critical in going through it flawlessly. So then maybe that week prior, you're having rehearsals every night. Maybe the first night it's just with the on stage, and then the rest of the nights it's going to be with the camera. It's going to be with the sound. It's going to be with the lighting, and having everything run smoothly. And then the last 3, possibly, you're going to do dress rehearsals where you're going through the full thing without incident. Everybody's hitting their notes. Blocking is perfect. Sound bites are in there where they're supposed to be. Lighting, we're able to follow the characters throughout, because the house lights are going to be down. So that will be your only way to see. And if you're off, it's going to throw the emotion off. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure to put ample time into our rehearsal. So then maybe before that, you're spread out like 3 times in a week. And then before that, you're like, okay, let's come in. Let's do, every other day and maybe just twice a week or however you want to do that. But as it gets closer, you're going to want to lock down that performance a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. Have more performances to work out any kinks, and then have that very final, the night before performance, be everything. Get through it flawlessly. Be able to go, what does they say? Do everything without a hitch, I guess. I don't know what that phrase is, but without a problem. like you can get through it and there's no issues, right? And consider the time that's needed for preparation. So not only are you jumping on the stage, you're getting everything in order that way, but how long does it really take the lighting to set up, get their notes together, get everything in place? Are all the cords connected for sound? Did something happen where they needed to use something in another area of the church? And now we want to make sure we have everything that we need. So make sure that everything is hooked up. Make sure you can run through. All the speakers are working. There is no feedback coming from the monitors or from anywhere. You know what I mean? Or any of the lapels. Or if you're having the hanging, like a boom sound system, and it picks up very well. Some of those do very well. You know what I mean? So, and you don't need the lapel. So you figure out what works for you and the acoustics in the facility. And then once you put up the backdrops, and once you put up, maybe you have a structured scene setting piece. Once you put those up, now how does the sound take? Now is it, because it'll bounce in a different area than before when there was nothing there. So you want to make sure to take all those things into consideration. Number 2, make sure that you give yourself ample time for rehearsal. Depending on the complexity of the production, aim for several weeks of rehearsal leading up to the performance. So, and also on the day of, don't say, hey, we're going to jump in here, have rehearsal for 30 minutes. But it takes about an hour 15 to get everything set up and ready to go for us to get on stage and then say action. Like, make it realistic. Don't just say something to get somebody to come. And then when they get there, it goes longer than expected, because then that makes for antsy and unhappy people. Now, when I was on set and doing different things, we could have a 16-hour day of filming. And some of it, yes, is spent in the green room. Some of it spent on stage, depending on what your part is. But anyone who is going to be in the scenes of that day need to be there from start till finish, just in case they want to tweak something. Just in case they're saying, hey, I know this scene doesn't come till later, but let's go ahead and shoot it now, and then we can revamp because I need it to connect in a way, how the directors do it, So you have to make sure that you're saying, you guys, this is serious. We're going to do these rehearsals, and they're going to take a little bit of time because we're getting everything perfected, right? Instead of having a rehearsal that's 15 minutes, hey, you got your lines? Yeah, I got my lines. You worked on your lines? Yeah, I worked on my lines. And then the day of, you got a little piece of paper in your hand. And then it's like, well, this is what we have. This is where we're at. We're ready to go. When no one wanted to take that extra effort to actually go through the things and make sure that everyone was off script. So you want to make sure to take the time necessary in order to make sure that, oh, okay, now we can all move on together. And again, in my workshop, I teach the actors how to come professionally prepared with their technical skills intact. So this makes a way to, let's learn them lines a little bit faster. Let's learn how even when we have our papers in our hand, we're not looking at the page trying to find, I lost my place. Where do I, it's all about a hand movement and a gesture as you're going through the script, as your scene buddy is going through their script. Why? Because you've read the script before. You know those trigger lines, and you move your hands accordingly, and you're doing line lifting. So you're not staring 90% of the page, 2% up top. It's a little bit more reversed. You know where to go when the director says downstage right. Or maybe directors, drama ministry professionals, the ones who will be the leaders, maybe you want to also take the class so that you can direct appropriately on, okay, this is what this means. We're going to start to use this language. This is where I need them to go, so this is what I should say. Right? Because if you take that class with the ones who are going to be, working these things out, you guys have a better relationship. You know what they know, and you understand what they've already done. So then it's a little more easier for you to give them, a little more grace in, okay, I need you to do this and this and this, and instruction. And then they can appropriately respond because they know how to do it. You know they know what this dialogue means that we're using. You know they understand how to pull up a tear, which eye means what, and how to make that cry graceful if needed, if, crying is needed. They understand how to technically bring that up instead of just going into their mind, traveling back in time, and then they come out with this super emotional, super, uh, if I can say, ugly cry in order to prove their emotional point. When, if you understand the realm of emotion that you're trying to use and the degree of that one that you need to use, because there are several ways to say, okay, express happy, you know? We'll go into it a little bit more detail. Which kind of happy? And I'm happy something has returned to me. Am I happy that I brought $1 million? Am I happy that I succeeded? Am I just happy to be alive? There's so many different types of happy, which we go through that gauntlet of emotion, and then we go through the degrees of that particular emotion, because there's always going to be several. And I think a lot of people don't realize one thing that I had when I was working in the studio, is that there's a wall full of mirrors. Why? So you can see the face that you're trying to make, and then you can see how it actually shows up. A lot of people think they look a different way than what they're projecting and what they're putting out there. And we want to make sure that they match so that it's a good shot from the camera. Amen. So that we are projecting that which we desire to project, and it doesn't look like something else because we haven't fully trained on, oh, this is what I want that to look like. You're not, when you're on a stage, you're not looking in a mirror. You have to come with that ability already. So you have to have, I want to say muscle memory on, okay, I'm going into this now. So when you're reading your script and you're seeing the emotional roller coaster that they're taking you on and how you want to rise and climax and then bring it back down appropriately, so you're not just going straight to the top and then there's nowhere else to go from there. So then it looks like you dropped out of character, you let down the scene, and now you're starting over from zero. But so instead of doing like straight bar lines like a triangle, we want to do more of waves like the ocean. Okay? So you want to be able to allow time to get everything, get through it. So determine rehearsal frequency. Plan the duration of each rehearsal. Consider factors like the attention span of your team members and the complexity of the scenes you'll be working on. And if you have the ability to break up your teams to go into, their reading of their act, but sometimes it's hard to do when the main character might be in all acts. But you go through a whole read, and then you can break it off if there's a scene with just two people or a scene with this and that, and have everyone constantly be working on what they're supposed to do. It's not like, well, I read it one time all the way through like we did, and then we did the table read, so now I just got to focus on my parts and when I come in. I don't have to know anybody else's anything. Well, you kind of do, because the energy that you bring, your partner is going to reciprocate. Or maybe it's a villain and an antagonist. You need to focus on both so that you know what their next line is going to be and how they're going to react, and therefore you can react to what they are saying and it looks natural. And you're not reading their words silently with your lips and playing double dutch with the when you come in. You're actually able to sit back, absorb what they're saying, and then have your response be natural and not ahead of its time. Like before they get their last word out, you're already reacting to the full sentence they said when they're not even done yet. You didn't even let it resonate in how you would have received it. You're just automatically ready to jump in and go forward. We listen to hear, but because we have our lines memorized, we know where we should go next. So decide how often you're going to hold rehearsals. Depending on the availability of your team members, you might rehearse daily, multiple times a week, or on specific days. That's up to you. You're the director. You know what I mean? You're the one leading this, and you see what your team needs. If they are doing their line lifting and you're seeing that, oh, shoot, they look down maybe 3 times. Okay, so we can probably go to the next level a little faster. But if there's still someone on the team that's, and the scene supervisor and the script supervisor, has to constantly jump in and give them their line. Okay, what's the problem? Let's go back to how we do this line lifting. And because we have our resources that you will get from doing my workshop, you're going to have a reference to go back to and to get them back on track and to tell them you actually have to do this, 3 to 5 minutes a day, maybe 3 times a day, because you're what? Improving your muscle memory on how to, right? Because maybe there's going to be a gap where you don't have a play or a rehearsal for a month or 2 at a time. You still want to be working out those kinks and understanding and maybe doing your own type of, okay, how do we do character breakdowns? And, so that you can be ready to move forward when it's time. Number 4, set rehearsal duration. Plan the duration of each rehearsal. Consider factors like the attention span of your team members. Oh, okay. Number 5, balance scene work. Distribute your rehearsal time evenly among different scenes, acts, or sections of the performance. Avoid overworking certain scenes while neglecting others. So we don't want to just pay attention to the basic one, but then for the 2 that may only have a back and forth, 4 lines each, we are saying, okay, you guys go practice that over there. No, they're still a part of it, and they have to know their cues on when to come in and when to exit. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that there are no little parts, no matter how short your line is. You can still make that the best part, and sometimes that becomes the most memorable part. You understand? So there's no non-important parts. Include breaks. Number 6, schedule short breaks during rehearsals to allow your team members to rest, hydrate, and recharge. Breaks can also help maintain focus and productivity. So the one thing I'm going to add in here with the with this is the importance of, yes, taking a break, making sure you can, sit for a second, relax your brain, kind of walk around, let it go so that when you come back to it, you're like, okay, you know. But also the importance of hygiene. Now, sometimes, most times, when filming, you're in close proximity to someone else. And I'm not just talking your external bodily, like armpity kind of smelly things, keep it under control, but also your breath. So when you have that time to take that break or rehearsal, maybe that's a good brush break. You carry your travel size toothbrush and whatever, and you go brush your teeth. Because when you're talking for so long, you may get cotton mouth. You may, be just ta la 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 la, and it's kind of like when you're working out and you're moving your arms and doing everything and stuff starts to sweat and it doesn't smell like what it smelled like when you left the house in the morning, right? So you want to make sure that your hygiene is kept up properly so that no one else is feeling offended or they can't get to the realm of where they need to get because they're so thrown off by the freaking smells. Or, make sure that you're trying not to spit when you talk. You know what I mean? So proper hygiene during the rehearsals, proper hygiene while filming. You know what I mean? If they say, hey, take 5, you go and you take 5. You don't want to ruin your makeup. You don't want to do anything, but maybe place a breath strip in there. Even though you know you brushed your teeth in the morning, right? You was good when you left. But when you're working and you're constantly going through the scenes and you're constantly going over different things, make sure you did enough that morning and you have the appropriate materials in your, I was going to say trailer or dressing room, in your bag or on your persons or however you carry things, to that when you take a break, you can go rejuvenate. You know what I mean? And make sure that everything is on point. So that when you're up there, if a scene calls for something just extremely intimate, like maybe a really dramatic parent-child kind of argument, and you're in their face, or they're in your face, or there's something going on, you're not distracted by anything you shouldn't be distracted by. So maybe when you're taking that break, you go and you eat something, go ahead and brush your teeth again. Go ahead and add a little more deodorant. Maybe it's a scented body lotion that you have instead of an actual spray, because you want to smell good, you want to smell pure, but you don't want it to be overpowering. So learn what it takes for you to do certain things in order to just be on your best physical behavior and not to be distracting to others. So then we're going to go to number 7, and it's okay to have these talks with your team. Make it funny or something, but definitely have the talks with them that, hey, we're going to be doing this and we're going back and forth. And if you're doing 16-hour days, like we were doing 16-hour days, it ain't always I woke up like this. It's sometimes I had to go to the restroom and do this for this. Like, and then that just becomes a part of your routine. So then when you're in bigger productions or maybe there's somebody out in the crowd is seeing you and they're like, hey, I have something going on. I want to recruit that person because I love the way they can handle that scene. So then maybe when you're the actor, if you're listening to this, you know how to be professional on set or in that dynamic. You already know what to come with and what to bring to the table. Because again, I'm not giving you a watered down version of, oh, let's do some acting, but let's make it better than what we've been making it in the church. No, I'm bringing you the professional, the real, that this is what they're doing in Hollywood information so that you have a proper understanding of everything. That you can take this, you can do film, you can do theater, you can go wherever you want to go, whichever quadrant you want to go to. If you're going to the New York area, if you're going to go down to DC, if your SAG is in Chicago, if you're going to be headed to Atlanta, you'll be able to go anywhere with an understanding of what to do and how to represent yourself, along with technical ability and along with everything else that you need. So this is not just somebody's coming in to help the church do a little bit better. No, this is me bringing my standards. This is me what I actually learned. This is me how you actually conduct yourself. This is, when you have to be on set for that 16 hours, bring your energy and your A game at all times. Don't start complaining. Don't say, oh, we're here for so long, we're not doing nothing. All we're doing is sitting in the green room. No, you're having a good time. Because no matter what time you start to do your thing, you're getting paid from the time you walk in that door until you leave. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different than what people actually think how it goes to make a movie. And I'm bringing you that information so that when you're in any situation you find yourself in, which hopefully you will also contribute or make that your main thing to contribute to helping bring the people back home with a pure and realistic storyline and technically sound skill, people are engaged a little bit more. They're like, wow, well, I didn't even know okay. And it's not just that select few of the Christian actors, and I'm doing air quotes, that get to be in the films. And so now you're seeing the same people over and over and over again. And it's like, but what about everybody else that's trying to break in and get in that door, you know? And it's like this close-knit little community that it's very hard to do. You know what I mean? So we want to, and I want to say Kirk Cameron is a great example, you guys. Not only is he an advocate for our Father, but he also has been on both sides. Because remember, one of his first things, and I don't know if it was actually his first, but Growing Pains was a syndicated, you know, television show from Hollywood, right? And then he also jumped over and did the Left Behind series and more. But in both of those, perfection. In both of those, technical ability. In both of those, sound foundational emotions that he could range from, take you on the journey with him, elevate when needed and keep you there, and then slowly start to bring it back down. You know what I mean? Like he could do both. So if you're like, well, is what she's saying really true? Are we getting the full understanding? And yes, yes, you are. And you could be able to do both. I'm not giving you nothing that's halfway done. We don't work like that at my Father's house. We go all in or we go home, right? Didn't he say don't be lukewarm? So what would I look like trying to bring you this information and I'm in the middle somewhere and I'm just giving you a little bit because I don't want you to do it better than me. I don't want you to be really, really great. I just want y'all to do a little bit better with what you got. No, I want you to be excellent. He said, study to show thyself approved. And this is how we study to show ourselves approved. And then we practice our newfound information. And that's how we get better. So, this is the real deal. And make sure you are really taking it serious. Because I would want, if I was in a situation where I'm like, I want to be an actress, I want to do these things. Well, now you have this coming to you and you're not paying those thousands of dollars in a session. Okay? What I offer and the prices that I charge have been the same since 2011 because I know what it takes and because I'm bringing this to the ordinary man to elevate them in a way that maybe they wouldn't have had an opportunity before. Now you can in a way that's very reasonable. And you take this information and you run with it. So, number 7, prioritize blocking and staging. In the initial rehearsals, focus on blocking, and that's the movements and positions of the actors. And staging, which is the placement of props and, set elements or backdrops or having things in there. This establishes the physical structure of the performance. And you cannot have a well-memorized script without knowing what to do with it physically. Or maybe you guys work so hard on memorizing that script that now it looks like you're standing still. Maybe you take 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left. Maybe you move forward 1 step and then back, and that's your range of motion. No, we need to take this and we need to learn the basics of stage directions. Now, when you're on film, there's a little bit different kind of things that are going on because of the angles that they're trying to capture. So it's not going to be exactly the same. And that's why when you learn the directions, the stage directions, and then you transfer into film, it seems a little more easier and laid back. So if you can get theater down, you can get anything down. Excuse me. Number 8, refine acting and dialogue. As rehearsals progressed, shift your focus to refining acting techniques, character development, and the delivery of dialogue. Work on emotions, timing, and authenticity. I wanted to say something in the middle there, but I'm like, nope, let me read the whole line first. But character development is something that we do, and it's something that we do individually, and it's something that we do as a group because we want all of these characters to intertwine. So you can't be all the way out in left field and say, yo, I'm going to be this. This is where they came from. This is why, we're in England. I'm going to have this great accent, but it's based in Chicago. That doesn't really fit in with everybody else's character, because where in the world did you come from if your mom is the cousin to the two that were born in Chicago? How did you get to England? And you've been there your whole life. It says you never moved out of the state of Iowa, or I'm sorry, Illinois. Don't hold me that, y'all. I'd be getting confused. So make sure that you're developing your character with them, but you're going in depth on the how-tos on how they respond, why they responded that way, and then the little tweaks that make that character special. Number 9, incorporate technical rehearsals. So we've talked about this several times. Schedule technical rehearsals where your team collaborates with the technician crew and to integrate lighting, sound, and other technical elements. Make sure that everybody has a chance to win. Make sure that they have their time and they're able, like even on the last video, the last podcast episode where we were talking about giving the team time to have a copy of your script, your edited, like notated script, so they know where this soundbite goes and they know where these things go. And then they have their separate rehearsal going through the script of each page and say, okay, and when they get here, this is what it's going to sound like. And then they're playing that soundbite and they're going back and numbering it, like number 4. Or they're labeling it what the word is so that when it's the trigger words come up, they'll know exactly where to find it. And they're not trying to find that button out of memory and then messing up because nothing is labeled. So that's going to be highly important for your technical and your sound. Well, I guess that goes in together, but if separated, that your sound technicians, that your audio technicians, and your lighting technicians know their beats. Number 10, conduct dress rehearsals. Plan full dress rehearsals where actors wear their costumes and makeup and all technical elements are in place. This simulates the actual performance experience. So once we get closer to that date, maybe that last 3 days is dress rehearsals. Because we've gone through everything. We've done it without the costume and the makeup and the hair where we can, get back there. We know where our wardrobe is. We know how to do it. We've pretended like, and then we took the time that it would take to pretend to put everything on. And then now we're back on stage. We know our blocking and our cues. But now we're going to do the real deal at least 3 times before the audience sees us so that it's perfected and without flaw to the best of our ability. Number 11, rehearse transitions. Pay special attention to scene transitions, entrances, exits, and quick changes. Smooth transitions contribute to a polished performance. Number 12, review and feedback sessions. Incorporate regular review sessions where your team provides feedback and discusses the progress of the rehearsals. Encourage open communications. Make it welcoming to have a voice. So maybe in that first week of when you're just starting out the rehearsals, you're like, okay, we're going to go through, and then maybe on every Wednesday, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about. So then when we go to the next rehearsal, it's a little bit better. And we're not throwing things out there for you to do this time at rehearsal on the day of, but we all know what we're expected to do. So then we can go and practice. We can understand what changes needed to be made. We all know them, and then we have time to actually work on them. And then when we show up, we can produce them. Sometimes on film, on set, there are changes to the script, there are changes to the dynamics right then and there, and you have to produce. But thankfully, in theater, in film, sometimes there are changes that have to be made, but we have time to rehearse them into what we're doing before someone sees it. And sometimes like I said, on set, they're filming and they want you to change it right then and there. And then they're going to film you right then and there. So you have to be quick on your feet. And if you learn it this way, then you'll be able to do it a little bit faster if you transition into doing it on film. So if you're in your vision, you're going to start out in theater and then move to film, they have it in them to do it correctly. Number 11, rehearse transitions. Pay special attention to scene transitions, entrances, exits, and quick changes. Smooth transitions contribute to a polished performance. Number 12 is the feedback we just went over. Number 13, be flexible. Remain adaptable in case adjustments are needed. Rehearsal schedule might change due to unforeseen circumstances or the need to address specific challenges. So maybe you're doing something where somebody's hanging from the roof. This is your 7th performance. You've done 7 plays and you want to step it up. And so now we need to know, how are we getting these people into place? And we thought we could just do it right here, but this would look way better. And we have the resources to do so. So let's step it up this time. So maybe that rehearsal takes a little bit longer until you understand where they need to be at what time. And before it gets to this part in the script, and then there you go. You know what I mean? So work it in. Be flexible. Communicate clearly. Number 14. Clearly communicate the rehearsal schedule to your team well in advance. Make sure everyone knows when and where rehearsals will take place. So it's not like, okay, we're going to practice at 7. And then the day comes and we're like, oh, we're in the sanctuary and it's 7:00. Nobody's here. Oh, that's because we're in the basement today. Just make sure to remember those kind of things. Number 15, encourage punctuality. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't show up. You're fired. You know what I mean? Give them that to step on, because we want everyone to be as enthusiastic about this as we are. Oh, wait, before I go into my little spew, emphasize the importance of punctuality to maximize the effectiveness of rehearsals. Starting and ending on time demonstrates respect for everyone's time. So there's a few things that you can, okay, the rehearsals are not our jobs. Sometimes we don't really like our jobs, but we know we got to show up and we know we got to be on time. So that means 1 minute before the clock strikes 12, that's when we're clocking in, not a minute earlier. You know what I mean? Because this is not something we want to do. But if we get into the habit of going in a little bit early, like when we're doing the rehearsals, this is actually something we want to do. We want to be early. There is no reason to be late, because we're scheduling our time around the rehearsals. Or we're letting someone know, hey, that's going to be a problem because I have da 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 da, and there's not really a way I can rearrange that. Can we start maybe 15 minutes later or something? Or can we, and because you're flexible, you're like, oh yeah, so instead of us coming in at 7, we'll come in at 7:30. Does that help? And that actually may help a tremendous amount. So not only do they have time to get there, and they only needed 15 minutes, now they're going to be 15 minutes early. So then they can get in there, they can get comfortable, they can adjust to the temperature, they can, greet everyone, and then everyone can get started as a team. So setting a rehearsal schedule requires careful consideration of the production's complexity, your team's availability, and the time needed for improvement. A well-structured schedule not only helps your team prepare, but also contributes to a smoother, more confident performance. That's what we want, a smoother, more confident performance. That's what I'm here to offer, a smoother, more confident performance and the how-tos on keeping everything in order. So the next time, or I don't want to say the next time, maybe this is your first time. Maybe you have never done this before. Maybe you just had this idea in your mind, you're like, man, if there was some way I knew how to do it. Or maybe you guys have tried, it was like, we're just going to throw something together real quick. And you didn't realize what it takes to actually have it be what it looks like on TV or maybe at another church or anything. You know what I mean? Maybe you just didn't know what you didn't know. Now you know. And there's no more excuses. And we're about halfway through this thing because there's so much that goes into it. I needed to break down everything so that you understand what you're getting into and what it actually takes to do things like this. And now, up to this point, we know where we can find the information to have skilled trained actors of anyone who wants to participate. We can bring them up by going to awapzone.com. If we want the book on the how to be the director of and to actually conduct and take on the responsibility of a drama ministry, now we have the written out and the verbal reference for that. You can click the link below to get your digital copy and read right along with us. So, how do we monetize things? Well, we talked about it a little bit in the last chapter. And so now we know how we can actually fund this to make it go well. And if it gets big enough, now we can monetize and maybe, pay our actors, the core ones who put in that work. Maybe after a year or two, we really have something here and we can turn this into a full-time production, whatever. And we already have a building in which to conduct everything. We know the formula that it takes to actually go through with it. Now we're getting somewhere. So now we're not just doing this for fun, and, really just like learning how to bring the people back and what it takes. But now we're turning in this to kingdom business. And we are being about our Father's business. And now we don't have to go to that corporate job that we really didn't like in the first place. Now our job is working solely for our Father in a way that elevates his name and brings him glory. So there's a bigger thing to this than just let's throw something together real quick. And I'm here to help with that, to give that understanding. And if you like what you hear so far, great. Implement it. Let's do this. You see what I'm saying? And I know some of you have a burning desire like I had. And I actually had the desire to be the one bringing it, to be physically an actor doing those things. And I was able to, am able to still. So when I have a production or I have something going on, I'm going to need to pull some actors in order to help me with those things. And then if I know that, hey, they have taken my program and I saw that they, they're actors and I know who was there and I understand what they learned and how well they did. And they've put it on a few productions and I've gone and sat in the audience of some of those productions. I know who's out there and now I can pull. Now I have resources in order to do whatever I'm doing and to make it a little bit better. Now I have a pool of, I want to say, like-hearted individuals who understand what I'm doing with the things that I'm doing, that I can say, could you help me with this? I'm filming this and I need this and this is how this is going to go. Would you help? Now I have those resources available to me. And if I see others that are like, man, we're trying to put this on and we don't really know, well, hey, I worked with blah, blah, blah in your city. Let me reach out to them and send their information. And then let's see if you guys can't, you know, maybe something can happen to where you're not lacking anything. Because I know they're trained. I trained them. So they're good. They're good to go. They're up to par. They got that skill. They got what you need. Let me hook you up real quick, right? You see what I'm saying? And now we are all about our family business. And now we can spread that word and let them know who he is. Give them a hope for their future. Let them know who they can rely on, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't think he was the truth, right? And how do we know that he's the truth? It's from our experiences with the Lord, with our Heavenly Father, with Abba, right? And us going through all this time, growing up in that church, taking his word serious, and seeing the fruits he said would come if we depended on him and if we trusted him. So now we're just reiterating that in a way that people like to intake their information. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm bringing. And I hope that's what you're getting from these podcasts. Any questions, anything you want to say, any comments you want to make, and if you're like, but I think I missed something, go ahead and click the link. Download your copy. And look and see where we've already come, where we're going. And we have so much more to go through. And I'm very excited about this, right? Because this is what I do. And I will be sitting in your audiences if you didn't know. Now you know, baby. um, but yes, I will be coming to where, because I want to see too. I love the theater. I love going to performances. I love going to the movies. You see what I'm saying? And then once you guys are up and running and going good, guess what? If you have something going on, I want to give you that opportunity to have more people understand and put it on my website. I want them to know we're here. This is what we do, and then this is where you can go in your city and see a great thing going on and have some fun and fellowship. You know what I mean? So it's not just me giving you the information, sending it out there. No, it's like a boomerang. Once you start going good, I'm going to want something back so that I can put you on blast. Right? And now we're circulating. And now when people see me, they see you. Especially since, people are in their own cities. They don't have to travel out of town. They have a place they can go. So it's bigger than, what I'm letting on right now, because I just want to give you the information and I want you to understand that you can do this and I have the proper instruction for you so you're not left by yourself. You know how to reach me, awapzone.com. All the information is there. The quickest way to reach me is to leave a message, send an email, something like that that I can respond to quickly. Phone calls take about 48 to 72 hours out because I'm going to respond to you myself because I want to make sure you have an understanding. And then once you have an understanding, you got, everything is good, then maybe I'll have a team member, one of my, my people are able to know, you know, if they call, if this is going on, then, help them out. And then they understand that we have a rapport. So then they're going to have that rapport with you. And they're going to be up to my standards, doing a great job. So if you've ever had a desire to run a drama ministry or to be an actor in a drama ministry, I have what you need. Let me be your pusher. I got you. I'm opening up the trench coat. I'm waving my hand down the right side, showing what we got here, down the left side, showing you what we got here, and saying what you want. I got you. So, with that being said, my royal fam, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm happy that we are now understanding that the acting part in a church is not being fake. It's bringing the word to life. So until next time, God bless. Deuces.